And we cannot allow that example to go forward.
I'm going to have to stop you there and unwind you for 1 second while we take a break. We'll be back with more of Officer's Oath right after this.
Interested in some exciting worldviews from a female perspective? Looking to be offended by conservative right-wing politics? Then tune in on Wednesdays from 2 to 3 for A Ladylike Outlook with your host, Anaheim, here on America's Web Radio.
Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, in obedience to his officer's oath to defend the Constitution, asked a simple question. Mr. Obama, please confirm where you were born. After seeking an answer for 2 years, he chose to invite his own court-martial to resolve the issue. Instead of answers, he was sent to prison and stripped of his rank, pay, and pension. His amazing story is told in a new book, Officer's Oath, Why My Vow to Defend the Constitution Demanded I Sacrifice My Career. Learn more about this man and his story at officersoath.com. Learn about the dozens of individuals who contributed to Terry's story, leaders and activists in the eligibility movement. The book is a complete story of Terry's decision, the immediate consequences, and the long-range effect of Terry's choice. Please visit officersoath.com today and pre-order the book now. That's officersoath.com.
Did you miss a show that you really wanted to hear? All of our programs are available for download on americaswebradio.com and on iTunes. You can listen to your favorite programs on americaswebradio.com anytime you like.
This is americaswebradio.com, the best in chat radio designed just for you.
Yeah, no, it's kind of fun.
Okay, well, I know that voice from any place in the world. That's Marco there. So we're back on Officer's Oath. We've got Rudy Davis on, and Marco Chevalino has joined us as well. And we were just getting to the second segment here, Marco, and we were going to ask Rudy exactly what he's doing now regarding the eligibility or the birthing question. And good to have you with us, Marco.
Thanks, and we want Rudy, before he kind of goes into that, well, he gave a little background on it, but Rudy, tell us a little bit about, without you having any idea what's happening, how you kind of got called out to this task.
Sure. About a week and a half ago, Pastor James David Manning, unbeknownst to me, and didn't call me first, so it's like, but that's okay because I love the man. He just put out a video on his YouTube channel, and he said, "Rudy Davis, bring us together." And I think he did that because I had initially done a video that was titled on my channel, which is just so you guys are aware, Lone Star 1776 is my YouTube channel, and I basically put a video out that said birther, cast and crew, and I went through a list of people that are either birthers, they focus on the birth certificate being a forgery, or they're constitutionalists, and they focus on the fact that his father is Kenyan and is not an American citizen. And so I went through that list, and that list has quite a bit of people, and I would say it's over 50 different names now of outspoken individuals, and some of them are, they're very well known. If I was, Pat Boone, I don't know if you guys know Pat Boone was a birther. Of course, Jerome Corsi, who wrote the book, Where's the Birth Certificate? And I could go on, but Captain Neil Turney. Let me mention some of the military names. Of course, Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, Commander Kirchner, who has a website called protectourliberty.org. Lieutenant Commander Walter Fitzpatrick is an outspoken individual. There's an Air Force Staff Sergeant Darren Moran who made some YouTube videos and was very outspoken about it. Retired U.S. Army Major General Paul Lee Valley has supported Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin and has made comments supportive of this cause. U.S. Army Major Stefan Frederick was one of Orly Tate's original clients, where he was concerned about the eligibility of Obama. So Phil Berg, and I could go on and on. I don't want to bore you guys to death, but if you guys are interested, either with my YouTube channel, but you can send me a message, and I'll be glad to send out more information, which I know Terry Lakin Action Fund does as well. But going back to your particular question, Marco, to stay on track, how did I get involved? Pastor Manning saw my original video, and I was making the point that these people are not racist. These people are not fringe. These people are not lunatics, right? These are God-fearing, righteous Americans, and they have questions, and they are concerned about Obama's eligibility and the fact that he's put out a forged birth certificate, especially in light of Sheriff Arpaio's recent press conference. And so Pastor Manning saw that, and he saw my video, and then he just used my name, and he knew that I had participated with him in the trial, and he said, Rudy Davis, bring us together. And so I felt like, I'm a friend of Pastor Manning. I'm a huge fan of his, and I know that he's a righteous man of God and is willing to do whatever God calls him to do, no matter how unpopular or how risky others may think it may be. And so I'm trying to bring together, and just quickly, Marco, if I could share, there's a First Baptist church in downtown Dallas. It's Dr. Robert Jeffress is the main pastor. And Dr. Robert Jeffress has been over 600 radio programs nationwide all over our country. He's wrote over 18 different books, authored them, and he's running a $130 million project to bring a spiritual oasis to downtown Dallas. And all of this you can read about in the First Baptist Dallas Church website. And so I thought, well, given the situation that we find ourselves, which I think is similar to Hitler's Germany as Hitler was rising to power, and I don't say that as an overstatement, I think that's exactly what's happening. I thought, well, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a spiritual man of God, a leader in those times, and he was speaking out, and he was, trying to, speak the truth in those times. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer ultimately gave his life for the cause. But I thought, well, I'll reach out to Dr. Robert Jeffress. I'll reach out to him in his church and say, hey, would you like to host this event from very well-spoken, well-known individuals in our country that are willing to come together? And you've got a magnificent church in downtown Dallas. And I'm not here to bash Dr. Robert Jeffress. I'm not, trust me. But his representative replied back and said they are fully aware of what Sheriff Arpaio's press conference is all about. They are fully aware of what's going on, but they refused to be a venue for this event. And so you will draw your own conclusions from that. I'm not trying to bash them, but they were given the opportunity. And so from given the response that I received back, I went to Pastor Stefan Broden, who's ran a very righteous church in South Dallas for the past 20 years, and he immediately stepped up to the plate. He volunteered his church and his facilities, and and so I'm very grateful to Pastor Stefan Broden for doing what he's done. And given that fact, that's how it all started, Marco. Is that Pastor James David Manning asked me to bring a gathering of birthers and constitutionalists from across the country. We've reached out to Sheriff Mack. We've reached out to David Barton. We've reached out to Sheriff Arpaio. Pastor Manning is committed to be there, and we're having some interest from some of these folks. And I hope Jerome Corsi can come as well. And so, there's a verse in the Bible. I think it's in Hebrews. I wrote down I don't have these things memorized, but I do remember what the verse says. It's Hebrews 10:25. It says, "Not forsaking the assembling of the brethren, but exhorting one another of ourselves together." And that's what I think we got to do. Good Christian men and women across this country who know what's going on, men of understanding, as the Bible talks about. We've got to come together and strategize about how to rectify these wrongs. And in Matthew 12:30, it says, "He that is not with me is against me." And so it's not time to be lukewarm. It's not time to try to ride the fence. And let them call us whatever names they want to call us, but we're going to say the truth, and we're going to say it in righteousness. And we don't want violence. We don't want anybody. We just want the law to be applied to everybody equally. And so in a website that's been set up, Marco, for those who want more about the event, it's on May the 24th, is icareabouttheconstitution.com. How nifty is that? icareabouttheconstitution.com. That'll give you all the information of the addresses and the dates, and you can contact me. It has a phone number for me, and my wife and I are trying to arrange things, and we've got a lot of help, and it's sponsored by Pastor Manning and Pastor Stefan Broden, and I'm sure there will be more that will be joining us. We just started it literally within the past 24 hours, Marco.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty exciting, Rudy. And, of course, you have been talking to Dean Haskins, who was trying to do a larger event in Washington, but we're not able to put that together right now. So what we want to do, David, how much till our next break? What's our time here?
We've got about 5 minutes. Not quite 5 minutes, about 4 minutes.
So, Rudy, one of the things that we talked about with Dean and you and I and others have discussed is what to do at this event. It's a one-day symposium, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we had some ideas, and we invite others. Obviously, I think you and I said that pretty much everything that could be said has been said, so what should we do different here? And we've talked about having some broader educational components, and if this is an issue, how do we address it? What are some specific guidelines? Can we create a document, a resolution of solidarity? Can we create some working steps for people to go back and start to work this issue? These are some of the things we talked about. And have you gotten any other ideas from people?
Yeah, well, that's like you said, the resolution of solidarity, strategizing about what the next steps are. I've reached out to Carl Swenson. You guys may have heard about his efforts in Georgia with Judge Malahy. That Judge Malahy turned on us at the very last moment, which was totally unexpected given the expectations that he had set previously. But I've reached out to Carl Swenson, and maybe Carl Swenson would like to come join us. I'm not trying to put him on the spot, but at the same time, maybe he can share some of the things that he's done in Georgia to bring this before the courts, and we can start to learn from what he's done and what he's accomplished, and maybe do this in other states as well. And then, of course, just come together as a group and strategize, and make a statement, and maybe we'll all sign it, and we'll have some speakers that have been fighting this right on the very edge, the leading edge of this fight, and give us some indication of how they think we should move together as a group. And the thing is that, as in Gideon's army in the Bible, God doesn't need a big army. People think it's, and as David said earlier, 40% of the Americans are behind this. And, I can't imagine why somebody like, all the Ron Paul people, if there's any Ron Paul people listening, sit down, because I don't want to get you too upset, because I know that people love Ron Paul, and I used to be his biggest fan, and I still am. I know that he's a libertarian, and he's for individual liberty, and I've read his books, In the Fed, The Revolution, and, Foreign Policy of Freedom. And I know about Ron Paul. He's great. But the fact that Ron Paul hasn't come up and said anything about this issue is very disheartening to me. There's a clip on YouTube of him saying that, he's concerned about speaking out about the issue. And in my opinion, what does he have to lose? And all you Ron Paul people, hold off just a second. Don't beat me up too hard, right? But we got to ask ourselves, maybe we can get a hold of Ron Paul and somebody can convince him of the overwhelming evidence on this issue. And I would like to, maybe we have some contacts. And I've tried to call his office, and I've tried to, send them videos, and I can't imagine why Ron Paul doesn't jump on this issue. And I know that he's has a track record for, supporting the Constitution, but I got to say this negative thing about him. You cannot claim to be a defender of the Constitution, no matter how good your track record is, if you don't pick up this eligibility issue, Ron Paul, right? This is so important to our country. It's the biggest constitutional crisis this country has ever faced in its history, and if you don't pick up this eligibility issue, Ron Paul, I'm very disappointed in you, is all I got to say. I'm very disappointed in you if you don't pick this up, and I don't see what you would have to lose. So that's my little Ron Paul speech there, but I really think this is an opportunity for him to distinguish himself as the leader that we know that he can be.
Right, because we're just wondering why no one will even do that at this point. So, David, are we coming up on our break?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back with more of Officer's Oath right after this.
With all the back and forth in today's politics, it seems as though the Constitution gets lost in the mix. If you want to brush up on your Constitution, then join Michael Conley every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. for the show Our Constitution on americaswebradio.com.
Here, all of our programs are available for download on americaswebradio.com and on iTunes. You can listen to your favorite programs on americaswebradio.com anytime you like.
Officer's Oath is a story that everyone should read. It is not a birther story. It is rather the story of a man, Terry Lakin, who made a principled decision to adhere to the oath he willingly took as an officer in the United States Army. It is a story of the personal consequences of that decision and the far-reaching effect it has had on the eligibility issue. Jack Cashel, author of numerous books, assisted Terry in telling his story. David Mercaldo, a New York-based author, has interviewed and written vignettes of the many people who contributed to Terry's case. The book is a complete story of Terry's decision, the immediate consequences, and the long-range effect of Terry's choice. Please visit officersoath.com today and pre-order the book now. That's officersoath.com.
You're listening to americaswebradio.com, the pioneer and leader in chat radio. Thank you for listening.
Now back to Officer's Oath, and we've got Rudy Davis and Marco Chevolino on the line with us. So, Marco, back to you.
Hey, yes, welcome back, Rudy. So, Rudy, on this task that you were handed, it was a surprise to you, and that you have now undertaken with great energy, as you have some of the other things. At this event, we've talked about a number of things, but one of the things you talked about was having everybody there together, which is a good thing, craft and sign a declaration of constitutional dependence or solidarity or something to that effect. What would you like to see in that? What are some of the things you'd like us to see people agree on and commit to?
Well, I think we should